Truth or Dare? Trouble Films is back with a whole new take on this slumber party staple. And let me tell you, Truth or Dare was my favorite slumber party game when I was growing up. Truth or Dare explores desire during a pandemic in a way that seems natural, lighthearted, lusty, and healing. The virtual orgy took place in late May 2020 while performers were sheltered in place in their homes around the world. Truth or Dare is on sale at troublefilms.com/shop along with other works made by queer porn stars. This is a collective release, meaning that it's co-owned by the performers, and you can also get it by reaching out to any of the stars of the film: Sin Sage, Estelle Bathory, Drake Manowar, Miss Mary Jane, Lita Lecherous, and Chelsea Poe. Welcome to the Peep Show podcast.
News and stories from the sex industry.
With Jesse and PJ Sage. Welcome back to another episode of the Peep Show podcast. This week we have Felicia Fisher, a phone sex operator, cam model, and fetish clip producer. She talks to us about how she got into sex work, her career and kinks, and the new documentary that she's featured in, The Odd World of Felicia Fisher.
Hey, I'm Adrian, one of the hosts of After Adult Podcast. My porn name should be Mozart Fremont, but you probably know me better by my actual porn name, Siri.
I'm Rachel, but my porn name would be Woody 16th Avenue.
After Adult is a podcast about life and porn.
I don't actually watch porn.
I don't really watch that much porn either. I probably watch more than you, but I mean, most of the time it kind of would feel like going to work on my day off.
You 100% watch more than me, because I don't watch porn. Find us wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for After Adult.
Or visit afteradult.com and follow us on Instagram at afteradult.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Peep Show podcast.
Welcome.
Bet you weren't expecting to hear my voice.
I know. I was going to say, guess who we have today? You are gracing us with your presence.
Oh, hardly gracing.
Now I'm excited that you're here. It's been a minute since you've been on the podcast.
Yeah, though, I mean, admittedly, I've only been 5 feet away while you've recorded and edited most of these episodes.
Yeah, but, you know, nobody's heard your voice. Actually, do you want to hear something super sappy?
Do I want to hear something super? Or does the audience?
Does the audience?
For the audience's sake.
For the audience's sake, because you never want to hear sappy things. I'm using this as an opportunity to be sappy. No, I was doing the editing for this episode the interview we recorded before we recorded the intro. And every time your voice came on, I was like, oh, PJ. PJ's here. And I got like a little bit fluttery.
Oh. Well, I suppose I should be happy that I have a partner who appreciates me.
Yeah. But why don't you talk a little bit about what you've been up to and why you haven't been on the episode as of late?
I was just taking a moment to revel in your sap and appreciate you for all your sappy glory. Felt like I couldn't pivot so quickly. Ask me again.
What have you been doing since you haven't been on the podcast?
Well, apart from recovering from cancer and teaching as my day job, I also have been furiously writing a dissertation and swimming in piles of books to try desperately to finish this dissertation this semester, but there's so many edits that they want me to make that realistically I probably won't finish it until like January or something. But I'm writing like, I don't know, as much free time as I have a week.
Yeah, you have been just doing nothing but like you get up, you teach your classes, and then you take a little nap, and then you write your dissertation, and then you get up and you do it again.
Yeah. It's been a lot. I really don't recommend it. The zero pay is really not a great return on investment. But like so many folks, I'm in too deep now, so I've got to swim. And I don't know. No, I mean, I think it's important. I fortunately, I did my research on cam modeling, and very relevant to the podcast, and so I've gotten to revisit a lot of these interviews that I've done with different cam models, and it's also reminded me how much like online sex work has changed in the last, I don't know, 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And
While you've been doing this research.
yeah, well, I've been doing it or thinking about doing it. And so it's it's been really interesting, and I'm hoping that all of this work that I put in one day sees the light of day.
It's actually really funny. So, like today I was on cam, and this happens almost all the time that I'm like on phone or on cams where people will ask me if I'm like new people that don't know me. Cause like obviously my clients like know me, but like new people will come in and they'll be like, oh, are you married? And like, I wear a wedding ring, so people know that. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then they always say, does your husband know you do this?
Bum, bum, bum.
And I'm like, yes. I don't have any like secretive, like interesting, like stories about how I'm hiding this like camming / phone sex operator career, given that like you do nothing but spend time thinking about camming.
Today you kicked me out of the bed and told me to go take a nap on the couch so you could cam. So,
Well, that's true. And then somebody was like, are you in a studio? And I was like, I'm so flattered.
Wow, really?
Yeah. They were like, wow, are you in a studio? And I'm like, no, I'm in my bedroom. And they're like, oh, it looks like a studio. And I was like, wow. I thought that would make you proud.
Oh, yeah. There's nice light in there in the daytime.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. Anyways, I've been reading a lot of anti-porn feminism, from like the 70s and the 80s, and trying to think about how this new kind of pornography differs from traditional pornography, and how a lot of the critiques of the porn industry are kind of really out of touch with the realities of what the porn industry is today, and are still like imagining that we're caught up in boogie nights, as opposed to like, performing in our well-lit bedroom. And so
Right, on our own terms.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And so I've been just trying to kind of go back and reread a lot of this stuff and really become kind of an expert at that, recognizing that that's still what's shaping the public discourse on porn. And a lot of the like feminist agenda around pornography, with groups like Now and other, feminist groups still kind of being dominated by anti-porn feminists. So it's just been a lot of reading and thinking, and this kind of clash between our lived reality and the imagined, the feminist imagination of what porn is being projected onto us.
Which, it's been really interesting because like I'm aware of all of these theories, but I haven't read them in a long time. And I was going through and kind of not copy editing because I'm not super good at that, but I was reading your dissertation and giving you comments on it. And it made me read all of these like feminist anti-porn quotes like in it. And I have to say that so much of it was like so outrageous on the face of it. I'm looking at it and I'm like, they're not talking about anything that I've ever like experienced, which isn't to say that nobody in porn has ever had these experiences, but they're acting as if that's like the only thing that's happening. And that seems so disconnected from reality to me.
Yeah, that and it's like there are definitely people have had like legitimately awful experiences in porn, but like, the fact of the matter is that a lot of these feminists, are consistently comparing the porn industry to like chattel slavery or, the extermination of the Jews during the Holocaust. And like, I'm not making that up. I mean, this is, I provide like ample documentation in my dissertation about how, this is like a common comparison that, at least this brand of feminists are making, and to be clear, that's not all feminists, but this kind of mainstream feminism of the
This swervy
1970s
feminism. Yeah.
in the 80s that, still has a lot of, influence.
So much of what they're talking about is sex, like describing sex workers as just these like holes to be penetrated and used, as if like we provide nothing but these like inert bodies to be fucked. I mean, that's really how they're talking
That
about
is how
it.
they're talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's no conceptualization that like sex work is a performance. It's really about, like, in their mind, it's about surrender. It's about surrendering your body to another person.
Right.
As opposed to like, engaging with another person's fantasies and having to do the like very complex work of understanding like another person's desire and then like performing that and building that fantasy for
Right.
another person, which is actually like a very active process. They really frame sex work, in general and porn in particular as, just sort of a bodily surrender to making oneself a passive object for the consumption of another person.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely do. They call it things like paid rape, quote
Yeah.
unquote. I think Melissa Farley said that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's offensive on like so many fronts. But yeah, I mean, it's been interesting living vicariously like through you as you are working through all of these, like through this entire movement and through these texts to kind of see how, swerfs have come to imagine sex work and how that doesn't line up with what we know, or at least what sex workers know, what performers know about their own experiences within sex work.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, the goal here isn't to like present a Pollyanna-ish view of,
Sure, yeah.
of the industry, but simply to say that like this one-sided view that really is an like an outsider perspective, also isn't like sufficient and also is problematic and hurts porn performers in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's what you've been busy on or busy with. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we move on to our interview?
I don't know. Not really.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to our interview.
Okay. Let's do it. Thanks for joining us today. Jesse and I are dedicated to platforming sex worker voices and covering important political issues for those in the sex trades. But we can't do it without your help.
If you believe in our mission, find us at patreon.com/peepshowpodcast and show us some love.
We're also seeking advertisers to help us grow. Thanks for helping us make Peep Show happen.
We're here today with Felicia Fisher, who's a phone sex operator and fetish model from the Midwest. She has been in the adult industry since 2012 and a performer since 2014 and has loved every moment of it. She's been featured in mags, zines, and DVDs showcasing her featured hairy tattooed body and also in many, many clip sites online. When she's not helping people come on the phone, she loves knitting, spending time with her loved ones, and planning her next move. So welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me.
You know what? One of my favorite activities is making people come on the phone.
Like actually pulling out their dick and coming on it? Or I realized after I wrote that, I was like, wow, that sounds like I make people jizz on their phone. I probably have. But yeah, helping people come with your voice is the best.
It is. There's something so fun about it. And I think if you're not a phone sex operator, you can't understand how gratifying that is.
Oh, definitely. I think about it all the time. I feel like it's really impacted, I don't know, how I live my life. You know?
Tell me about that. How do you think it's impacted it?
I don't know. It's taught me that everybody, you never know who's secretly, super kinky.
Oh,
you never
I know
who is into this stuff. And I never really know because I never get to see these people. But it's I imagine these are the people that, I see on the train, I see downtown, whatever. It's wow, everybody has the potential to be a freak. And they just don't talk about it.
I know. I have that too. Every time I see a dude in a business suit, I'm like, did I get him off in his office?
I love that. No, same. Like any downtown, any city, any downtown, all the suits and stuff. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
Do you
because
know
those are
me?
the guys
Do I
that
know
call
you?
us.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're all like wearing panties under their suits.
Oh, right. And you probably made them put on those panties that morning.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I love every minute of it. I also love, I was talking to somebody else about this. It's so funny to like just listen to people's voices when they come and they're like, you never know like who's going to go totally like wild or how they're going to respond. And then all of a sudden they like snap back into business mode and they're like, okay, well, thank you very much.
Oh, yeah. Right? Oh my gosh, the worst. Okay, not the worst. It's just, it always makes me laugh when somebody comes and I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that they're about to come, and then I'm like, babe, are you going to come soon? And then they're like, oh, I did earlier. We've just been talking. And I'm like, what?
You let me keep going and going and going.
Oh my goodness. Like, what? Like, when did this happen? You're sneaky. Like, yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah. No, I don't know why. There's something about that that's so fun to me.
Yeah, I love it. It's so great that you're a phone sex operator too. I feel like we've talked about this before, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Did you interview me? I know PJ
No,
did.
PJ did. I think we've just chatted in general. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh no, I
That makes
interviewed you
sense.
for my column.
There we go. Oh, yeah. And then I think that's when we bonded about both doing phone sex.
Yeah.
It's been a year. Who knows?
I'm like, oh, wow, we really do so many interviews. We kind of like lose track. Well, the other thing is you see so many people, like, I mean, not these days, not in like the plague era, but, back when we used to go to conventions and stuff, sometimes I'd forget. It's like, did we just sit down and talk for an hour over lunch or did I actually like interview you? Like
Right?
I'm like, why do I know all these things about you?
Well, and there's also Twitter,
Oh, yeah. There's so many times I think, like, I have a relationship with somebody. Not like a relationship, but like I think I know somebody and I know so much about them and then I realize we've never spoken.
Yeah.
I've just like learned all these things through watching them on Twitter.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, or like conversely, somebody will come up to me at like, I've had this experience at AVN too, and they'd be like, oh, how's such and such going? And I'm like, what?
Who are you?
How do you know about this?
Who are you?
You stalker. How dare you read the things that I'm publicly posting online?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it's a weird world. It's a very weird world.
It really is.
Which actually is a good segue into your documentary that you're working on.
The Odd World of Felicia Fisher.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so the documentary is being put out by A Baroque House, which is a company I've worked with quite a few times over the last couple of years. It's ran by somebody named Sam Hell, and he's featured me in like 6 of his films.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
So what yeah, I was just going to ask, what do they do?
Yeah, they do like I guess technically it's like horror movies, but it's like erotic horror movies. And they tend to be a lot more experimental where like the setup isn't exactly linear. The first film I did with him was called Spit. And for that, the premise of it was there's a book that has all of these like perverse spells and things in it. And I pick up the book, 3 different scenes. And in each scene, a person will pick up the book and read the book and I'll give them ideas and they start getting turned on and doing really perverse things. So for that one, it fades in from me reading the book to me masturbating and throwing up all over myself in the shower.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's like the Necronomicon of sex or something.
Oh, yeah. And the other scenes in the movie are like that too. They all involve like vomit and things like that, which is something that I actually really like sexually. So
how did you get into that?
Yeah.
Or how'd you learn that you liked that?
I learned of its existence when I was 19 and working at a porn store, and I first saw one of Max Hardcore's DVDs.
Okay.
And it kind of stayed, I don't know, I was just so shocked by it.
Yeah.
It was just so crazy. And it's one of those things where you see it for the first time and you're like, oh my God, I couldn't do that. That's weird. That's wild. But it stayed in the back of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think about it a lot. I feel like most fetishes I've gotten into, it's just like that. I'm just like, no way. And then like in the back of my head, it's like, way, man, way. like a couple years after I learned about that, and after I had time to like realize that was a real thing people do, I was seeing somebody and I was giving him head, and he kept pushing me down on his dick, and I'm like, if I do that, like if you do that to me, I'm gonna throw up. And he's like, oh, that's fine. And I'm like, whoa. And then something just
that
like
wasn't
clicked.
like a response that you expected, huh?
No, never, not at all. I feel like that question, that was quite a while ago now. I was like 21, but that's come up, and I'm 27 now.
Okay.
That's come up a few times like before that, and the guys were like, no, don't throw up. But this person being like, yeah, do it. Let's do it. I was like, yeah, man, okay. And I tried it, and I loved it. It was just such an intimate, kinky thing that we did together that I don't know, it became a big part of our relationship.
I have like a fear of throwing up. Like I hate it so much that I will like avoid it. Like if I'm feeling sick, I'll think of anything to do to like not throw up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
definitely.
of. I mean, it seems like a lot of people. So what is it that's like exciting about it? Is it like giving up control, or like is it like doing something that usually you wouldn't want to do, or like what do you think really works for you about it?
I would say it's a really crazy feeling, like when you're deep throating somebody, and like the adrenaline of just like, bobbing your head up and down, getting that dick deep in your throat, like spitting up all over the dick and being covered in like spit. And it's just like a little bit more than that. Like I love that feeling, but it's more, and it's just it's so intimate, and it takes either like, it takes like a bond with somebody or somebody who's into it too.
Yeah, to be
like
able to do it
with everybody. Yeah. So to find somebody who's also into it is a thrill, and then to find somebody who wants to like fuck my face until I barf all over myself together is a thrill, and to know that they get so turned on by it is just like incredible to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love that. That's why I love it. Is that a good answer?
Yeah, no, it's a really good answer.
I know we can't talk about this on Night Flirt, so like I don't get to talk about this very often.
No, the like amazing thing about that is like I don't like deep throating, and I hate throwing up, and somehow you made that sound like desirable, and that's like a gift.
I don't know.
I mean, because I have that sort of experience with other things, like I like intense sort of sex that you have to be like super bonded with somebody to do. Like I like fisting, and I like anal, and I like things like, which are like pretty like common compared to like throwing up. But like I do think that I like things where you have to like submit to somebody else. And so like the way that you described why you like throwing up is the same reason that I like doing other things, and so that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Different strokes for different folks,
Yeah.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah, there's so many things we're not allowed to talk about on like Night Flirt.
That are like fundamental to like what I like doing with people, which is like really annoying.
How do you get around that?
I just have to be more censored on there, I think. Like I give people, I can still be filthy. They tell me they want filthy, I can give them filthy. But it's like a filthy within like the realm of what isn't considered obscene, It's like, oh yeah, let me deep throat your dick and spit all over you, and then maybe really spit all over you. Maybe you could use that spit on different places of me, or like rub it all over my tits and my face. It's like stuff like that where it's like skirting it,
Right. Yeah.
Or just making it sound really compelling.
Yeah. I always get in trouble on Night Flirt for like trying to upload things that they're like, you can't do that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's such proofs on there too. It's like you can't show nipple, you can't show like pussy, you can't show butt. Like,
I know. And sometimes like for the thumbnails, I'm like, how am I supposed to pull a thumbnail from this if I can't show my body? I don't even know.
Exactly. For that, I usually like will just like crop everything but my face when I look like I'm having a really good time. If it's like a masturbation video or like a deep throating video or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, please just like, trust me, it's good. You want to watch this. I look like I'm having fun. Please,
you will have fun too.
I assure you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
so I feel like I went off on a tangent and we forgot about your documentary. So we can get back to that.
Oh yeah. That old thing. Yeah. So the documentary, I told you about Spit. Oh yeah. So I've been in a lot of films for Sam Hell, and they tend to involve more like extreme aspects of sexuality, I guess,
Mhm.
like throwing up. In other ones, I've been covered in like fake blood and like masturbating.
Mhm.
There's one where I get like implied, trigger warning, rough sex. I get implied like raped with a gun.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Stuff like that. Yeah, I do like a BDSM scene with like a dom in that movie too. So it's like stuff like that. And he like last year he was like, I really just want to like do a documentary about you because you're into all of this like really extreme stuff and you've done such extreme stuff for me. But like we should just make a movie about you. You seem so
Yeah.
normal. Sorry, I got off track for a second. Basically he was like, you do such extreme kinky things, but you're such a normal person. Like you're just such a nice normal person, and you wouldn't expect it looking at you that you like barf on dicks and you like do all this shit online and stuff like that. And I'm like, wow, okay, cool. That sounds like fun. Like I love it.
Yeah.
And then so basically it's going to be a retrospective of my time working with Sam Hell and a Baroque House. So I think he's going to chop up bits of films that I've done with him, bits of clips that I've sent to him, kind of showing off the more extreme things I do, or I guess like the more like common things I do, like farting and barfing and stuff like that. And then
I like how that gets labeled as common.
Yeah, I mean, common for me, like I was like trying to figure out a word for that. Like things that I tend to do online, like things that represent me as nasty girl Felicia Fisher,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I was just kidding.
Oh yeah. I felt like I didn't really like clarify it though. And then, I don't know.
We got you.
Yeah, I'm kind of spacing out. Sorry. For being really good at talking on the phone about sex, I'm really not great about talking about myself sometimes.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
I think you are.
Thank you. But yeah, interspersed with everything that I've done with him, I've done on my own, is like interview questions about how I got into sex work, how I got into shooting porn, how I got into the more extreme fetishes. And yeah, a little bit about me as a person.
That's great.
I don't just barf all the time. I am more than just my asshole. And gag reflex, thank you.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
So what was the experience of doing the documentary like? Was it a lot different than the other work you've done?
If we had not entered like the corona times, the pandemic, I would definitely be out there shooting with him probably.
Right.
The only thing I had to shoot for the documentary were interview questions, which I just did in my house.
Oh, okay.
But I feel like if corona hadn't happened, I probably would have flown out to LA and actually shot in person with him and maybe shot some extra footage or whatever with him.
Right.
So it was a lot different in that way. But yeah, it was still fun.
I mean, it's kind of cool that you were able to do that, as like something creative to do during this time when it's harder to record other kinds of things.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I'm thankful that he wanted to do it like this, too. And it didn't get shelved until whenever all of this is over, because he'd been talking about this since sometime last year. And I know with corona and some personal stuff he and I are both going through, I didn't think it was ever going to be made. But I was like overjoyed when he told me he wanted to start working on it and having it released around Halloween.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Neat. So tell us a little bit about like your sex work career and how you got into the work that you do now.
Kind of a long story. I got into the adult industry initially by working at an adult store that had the booths in the back, like glory holes and stuff like that. It was like one of those little hole-in-the-wall adult stores.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that counts as officially like being in the industry, but I feel like that is what really inspired me to become a performer. Like
Okay.
just cleaning the magazine and DVD racks and like looking at all the DVDs and seeing like girls like me. Like I remember the first time I picked up a copy of Seattle Hairy Girls by Rodney Moore, and I was like, whoa, this looks like me. I'm hairy. I'm cute. I have tattoos. I could be doing this right now. And it was like really mind-blowing, and that really stuck with me. And
which also like
after
points
that,
to how important like diverse representation is.
oh, definitely. Yeah. Like if they're, I feel like people have this idea that like the porn star is just some skinny blonde chick, whatever, something
Right.
like that. No imperfections, like tight, neat little pussy, whatever.
Right.
And it's like, no, that isn't porn at all. And I hate that that's a thing, because I used to feel that way when I was younger.
Right.
And it's like, it's not all Playboy.
Right.
Like it's not all, I love Playboy, but it's not all like pretty cover girls like spreading their pussy and like faking coming, you know?
Right. Right.
There's so much more to it, which I learned in part from working at the adult store and then meeting sex workers online and then finally getting into sex work myself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
to hit the pause button and head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/peepshowpodcast. Even $1 a month shows us that you care and want to see Peep Show continue to thrive. Also, you can help increase our reach with a review on iTunes.
yeah.
What was working at one of those stores like? Did people just come in and like go to the back? The only thing I know about this is from like night flirt callers who are into it, who will call me and talk to me about like going to glory holes in the back of bookstores. But I was never sure if those were like just stories they made up, because you know people make up a lot of stories when they call.
Oh, it's real. It's really real. Like, trust me, it's crazy because you would think that like in the 2010s, why are people leaving the house to watch porn? Like, why are people not just jerking it on their computer? But it's a really real thing. There would be days where it's like we had 20 people back there, like just doing what they do. But it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I had no idea there were booths in the back until I started working there. And then like I learned on my first day and I was like, oh wow, crazy. What do they do back there? Oh, they watch movies and they probably jerk off. Okay, cool. Oh, guys meet back there and fuck. All right, cool. Yeah, it's a really real thing, and it's a real scene, and it's a real lifestyle for some people.
Yeah.
Some guys love going to those places. I loved it though. I've worked in a couple different sex store companies. And that one was nothing like the other one I worked at, which was the Pleasure Chest. Just gonna name drop.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing like it, but I still loved it for what it was. I loved it for being like a filthy little adult bookstore with the jerk off booths and the pornos, the wall-to-wall pornos, like 5 sex toys, not really a sex toy store.
Right.
But yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Cool.
No, it's just interesting to hear, because I think like, I think there's less of those stores maybe than there were in the past, but I think for a lot of us who, you know, haven't been in there, seeing the day to day of how those run, it's interesting to hear from your perspective.
Yeah, it's definitely very old school. I mean, like you actually sell the people tokens, like everything. It was a very old cash register. Like none of the systems had been updated for like 20 years there. I feel like it's something where companies don't really plan on investing more because they will probably be gone in the next 20 years, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Like you don't really hear about peep shows anymore. No offense. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, you know, it's really cool and some people really love it and it's a real scene for some people, but I don't think it's going to last in the world that we are right now, especially with COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I can only imagine those stores having to pay rent right now.
Right.
And just be an empty shell during this time. Because,
Yeah. How's your COVID time been?
It's actually been all right. Like,
Yeah.
I've dealt with a lot of hard stuff this year. Someone in my family passed away right before COVID,
Oh, no.
and it was really a really, really hard time for me. So I was planning on spending March and April in the house completely anyhow.
Yeah.
So it worked out perfectly. I just stayed my ass in the house. I was ready.
I guess you probably didn't expect it to last until October, though.
No, not at all. It's definitely gotten in the way of traveling and shooting and feeling safe shooting with other people. But
Right.
I mean, most of what I do is just like most of my income is phone sex and clips. So it's like perfect for
Yeah.
me to stay home and just work on that and kind of focus on working on myself as opposed to working with other people or for other people's companies.
Right. Right.
It's been good. Yeah. I have another person in my germ bubble, Little Puck.
Oh, yeah. We're friends with
Yeah.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, Little Puck is great. She's one of my closest friends, and we've seen each other almost every weekend since COVID started.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
that's
Staying in the
nice.
same bubble because, like, I don't go out with anyone. I don't go out anywhere. She doesn't go out anywhere. It's worked
Yeah.
out. It's like being roommates, but like long
It-
distance.
Yeah.
You know? It's cute.
But that's nice. And it's nice
Yeah.
to be able to like have somebody or have that plan
Mhm.
to interact with somebody else.
Yeah, definitely. And it's nice having someone to bounce ideas off of and actually be able to work with without like being scared.
Right.
Been a little bit too worried to work with other people. And I totally support people that are out working with others right now and everything like
Yeah.
that. All for it. I know the rent has to get paid. It's
Right.
just like I'm very fortunate to be able to pay my rent from the comfort of my bed right now. Very
Right.
happy. It's a
Yeah.
privilege for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been one of the big stories, I think, with COVID is that those of us who are working online before
Mhm.
COVID, the transition obviously has been a lot easier than to people who've had to do other kinds of work
Yeah, definitely.
and then try to transition to working more online.
Mhm.
Which actually, it kind of raises a question I wanted to ask you is like, how did you get into phone work? I mean, clips as well, but how'd you like
Yeah.
wind up specializing in these things and, as opposed to like camming and other things?
I actually started off camming. That was my first, what's the word? I want to say foray.
That's a good word.
Something. My first foray into online sex work was camming. And I did that for a couple of years and I liked it, but I was feeling kind of burnt out after a
Yeah.
while. I just, like, it was very exciting the first couple of years, but I had another job I was working at and I was just not really digging it as much. So I was like, what else could I do? Because I love sex work. I love getting people off. It's just exhausting waiting for like a private online because all I really want to do with them is masturbate.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit there and stare at myself until I can masturbate. So I learned about Night Flirt and how you can do phone with cam on there. And I
Yeah.
was like, that sounds perfect. I just log on. I keep my Skype line on. They call me. I masturbate. It's great. So I don't even know. I think actually a customer a few years beforehand had told me about Night Flirt just a little bit. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do phone sex. But when I was going through like my getting out of camming time, I started an account and I wasn't really paying much attention to it until one morning. Apparently, I left my phone line on. This guy called me and he's like, I'm a peeping Tom. I want to tell you about it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I basically interviewed him for like 2.5 hours about being a peeping Tom. And when I hung up the call, I was like, bro, I made like $100-something just talking to this man. This is my shit. I'm going to figure out whatever I need to do to make this work. And I
That
did.
is so funny because
Yeah.
I had almost the same experience. I mean, not
Really?
about peeping toms, but yeah, I mean, I was camming and I was like, I'm not sure I love this. And
Mhm.
then I had the same thing where somebody told me about it and I was like, oh, I don't think I'd be good at phone sex. I'm not like a super dirty talker.
Yeah.
Or I was afraid that I wouldn't be. It turns out that it's not that hard. But but I was like, yeah, I don't know if I can do this. And then the first time somebody called me, it was so
Mhm.
funny because I was at work and I had to leave work. I mean,
Mhm.
because I was alone at work, so it was fine. But the
Mhm.
conversation just went on, and I got in the car and I was still talking to him. And he found out that I was married. And I mean, he asked me, and then it turned out that he was bi and that he wanted to have this whole bi like fantasy with PJ and I. And
Oh, I
it
love
lasted
that.
like an hour and a half or something. And I was like, that was the hottest thing. It was so exciting. It was so hot. I just made way more money than I made camming.
Yeah.
And it was easier. It was just one guy who told me what he wanted to do to my husband, and it was so hot.
And that more or less characterizes our our sex career sense.
Yeah, all the people who want to fuck my husband call me, and it's great.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
I have been fantasy fucked by so many of
You
your
really
clients. It's
Do you like being fantasy fucked? Not to like turn the interview onto you, but like,
oh no,
but, like,
I
is
mean,
that something that like you enjoy?
sure,
Like,
yeah.
You're usually not actually like on the call, but I tell him about it. I'm like, oh, guess what we did to you?
Well,
Oh, I love that.
yeah, I mean, I have been,
You have,
at
actually,
times on
yeah.
calls. Also, sometimes, I'm just walking by or whatever, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, cool, this is happening to me right now.
Oh, that's so great. I love that so much.
But it's fun, actually. I mean, I like it insofar, like the fact that we have people who are interested in that means that we can do work together. We can make clips together. We can kind of integrate it. Like what's really nice for us as a couple who both work in the industry is it means that we can like just integrate our relationship into our work, and we don't have to like, I don't know. There's no like pretending we're not, together. Instead, like so much of the fantasies are around the fact that we're a couple, which is great because that means we can make content together and do all sorts of stuff together.
I love that.
Yeah, it was funny today. I actually like decided that after all this time that like I'll try to spruce up my business a little bit by going back on cams. So I was on my free cams today, and some guy,
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Yeah. I thought I'd try it out. I never did it. I used to be a chatterbait person. And so I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll just try it and see what it's like. So I go on there today, and some guy was like, oh, you're so sexy. Like, who do I have to push down the stairs to like be with you? And I was like,
Whoa.
I know. And I was like, well, you just have to be nice. You don't have to push anyone down the stairs. And he's like, and then he was like, oh, but I think that's a fun fantasy. I was like, okay, well, you can push my husband down the stairs.
Hey, whoa. This is taking a dark turn.
Yeah, PJ, and how does that make you feel?
And then I was like, actually, I really like him, and I don't want you to push him down the stairs. But like, what is this gonna? Is this what it does in Fantasyland? Is this what we're doing? Okay,
This is what this does it for you. All right. Don't want to yuck your yum. Don't want to be a kink shamer.
But yeah, even in everywhere I go, it's like about PJ.
Wow. Yeah, I'm single, and I've presented myself as single, obviously, in the industry. So I haven't had the luxury of being able to, like, I don't know, have a little partner. Talk about. Sometimes I talk about people I fuck.
Yeah, right.
But I think it'd be more fun to have a consistent partner who I can actually show on cam. Like, look, I'm not lying to you guys. I fuck. We fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It was just funny because when I hear like people say their phone sex stories like that, for the people who like phone sex really connects with them, I feel like we all have this like, oh my gosh, somebody called and they like tapped into something that was like great. And I was like, wow, you can make money talking to people about fantasies? Like, awesome.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, I'm so happy I found Night Flirt. I really don't know like what I would be doing right now if I didn't have it, Like it's such a big part of my life, and I love it.
Yeah.
Love phone sex.
Yeah. You do Sex Panther too, right?
I do, yeah, and I like it too.
Yeah, it's different, actually.
Yeah, it's very different. I mean, I like that you can text people from your phone.
I like that too. Yeah,
I'm really not a fan of chat on
right.
Night Flirt. It's a little stressful.
Yeah. So, what else do you have going on?
Honestly, I thought I'd have a lot more going on this year, but with COVID, it kind of derailed my plans to travel and shoot and probably go back to like New Zealand and visit friends out there. So I'm like, I don't know.
So we talked a lot about phone stuff. Do you want to talk a little bit more about your work making clips as well?
Yeah. What do you want to know?
Well, I mean, one thing is that you do a lot of fetish content,
Yeah.
which I know can be really difficult with a lot of the clip sites, because there are so many rules uh,
Yeah.
around like what you're allowed to post and what you're not allowed to post. And I feel like every year there's more and more rules.
Hmm.
So I'm just curious about how you navigate all of that.
Yeah. There is a really lovely model named Sophie Ladder who made a chart, like a spreadsheet that shows what content is allowed on what sites. I don't know if you all have seen
I
it
think
or
I
if we
have
could
seen that.
include a link,
Yeah.
but it's been a very helpful resource to understand what's allowed on what sites, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because like when it comes to pee, for example, I think it's many vids you can piss in somebody's mouth, but you can't swallow. And on clips for sale, I'm pretty
That's so
sure
specific.
you can do, yeah, right? It's just something with like ingesting urine, it's not allowed. And on clips for sale, I think that isn't allowed whatsoever. Like you're not allowed to pee drink. Don't quote me on that. But it's just there's like the little differences like that. And
Yeah.
Sophie has put like made the chart and put in there what's allowed on what site and to what extent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so grateful for that because it's helped a lot. But it's
Yeah.
so frustrating. Yeah, like for example, I know I keep talking about barf. But when it comes to like my barf or like gagging clips, on many vids, barf is not allowed whatsoever. I've seen people try. I don't really want to try,
Yeah.
like putting it on there.
Yeah.
But you are allowed to like spit and spit up and stuff like that. So whenever I shoot a barf clip, I have to make two edits of it. One
Yeah.
will be the edit where you don't see barf, but you see spit. And then on clips for sale, where they do allow barf, I'll do like the full barf clip. But
Okay.
then it's like I can't really upload it anywhere else. There aren't very many sites that allow that at all. So I
Right.
kind of just have to sit on that clip and focus. I generally focus more on making ones that are allowed for all sites,
Yeah.
like farting or ass worship, asshole worship, masturbating, and things like that. Yeah, it stinks how limiting it is. I would really love to do more vomit clips. I feel like I could go like higher with that, and I would be trying more new things with that if I wasn't limited to just one site.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Is it, so do you do like most of your business on clips for sale then, or do you have to kind of spread it around?
I'm spread out. I'm on a bunch of different sites. And it's kind of hard keeping up with them all. I think I'm primarily on ManyVids. That's where the majority of my content gets uploaded to.
Hmm.
And then Clips for Sale, I think, is my second most popular. And then Pornhub.
Hmm.
I sell clips on OnlyFans, and I want clips as well. But I think ManyVids is like my top one, even though they are a bit more limiting when it comes to allowing what I like to do. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has the kind of explosion in popularity of OnlyFans been for you? How's that been working out?
Um, Honestly, it hasn't really impacted me. I'm not really an OnlyFans. Like, I'm not like one of those hardcore OnlyFans converts,
Yeah.
you know? Because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there are so many people I saw transition from like my free cams to OnlyFans or Night Flirt to OnlyFans or whatever.
Hmm.
But it hasn't really impacted me because I'm not as heavily on there as like other people, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of out of the OnlyFans conversation because I don't really take it seriously. Or
I'm
like
not.
not seriously, but like not as serious as some models that have like the free page, the paid page, all
Yeah.
the DMs, maintaining the page all the time. Like I really just upload to like a couple times a week. It's like a real fan page for me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how I use it too.
Oh yeah.
And I can't, everybody was suggesting to me, they're like, oh, you'll make so much more money if you have a free one that advertises the other one. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I can't come up with enough content to like
Oh
have
yeah.
a free one and another one. And then I also can't do like all of the people who are hardcore all day long on the like Telegram groups
Mhm.
doing like, I can't
Oh
manage that.
yeah. No, I don't do that. I have never like I'm not in any group chats like that. I'm not in any
Yeah,
promo groups. I'm not
I'm
in
not either.
Telegram. I don't yeah, no. That just doesn't work for me. I'm like very introverted. Like
Yeah, I think that's
and
maybe me too. I just want to do my
yeah,
work and that's it. Like, I mean, I like to talk to
exactly
people, but I can't. That
to a
sort of
point.
intense promotion is like very stressful to me.
Yeah. And having to like manage talking to a bunch of people about promoting so you get more people to talk to. It's just like
Right.
very stressful to think about. I'd rather just cruise and hope that people like my hairy pussy. They find me compelling for some reason and organically come to me.
That's always my
Like,
hope too.
right?
Yeah, I'm
The
like,
old-fashioned way.
I just want people who like want to be on my side. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I find that really stressful. So I just don't do it. So
Yeah.
it's-
Yeah, I definitely admire people that do it, and I admire people that can like dedicate themselves to it and like the 24/7 OnlyFans hustle. But at this stage in my life, I just want to get people off on the phone. I just want to shoot clips a couple times a week,
yeah.
text some dirty pictures, live
Yeah.
my life, work on my knitting. Like,
It's a good life.
yeah, it's a very good life. It's
Yeah.
been a good quarantine for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear how people relate to these things differently
Mhm.
because I think so much of it varies by like personality too.
Oh,
Like
totally.
different people just kind of stick to different kinds of sex work,
Mhm.
based on personality and
You
Yeah.
have me wondering how many like self-identified introverts are on Night Flirt now and like doing phone sex.
I know,
'Cause I
probably
feel like
so
it's like,
many.
yeah, it's not exactly hands off, but you can be a lot more anonymous and
Also,
like,
I think like what the reason that it works better for me, I think, is that part of my introvert nature is that
Mhm.
I very much like intense conversations with like one or two people, and though like working the room of like a
yeah.
cam show doesn't
Mhm.
like fit my personality. If I go to a party, like a real life party, I would find one person that I think is interesting and like stand and talk to them for a couple of hours and then go home. I'm like not somebody to
Yeah.
work the room. And so camming was always like stressful for me, but Night Flirt, where I like can ask somebody like every question about everything they've ever thought, like
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And you're definitely preaching to the choir. Like that all resonates. It's just so much easier and so much more intimate and so much more fun to pick somebody's brain for that amount of time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I definitely pick people's brains.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. Like, oh, really? Why do you like that? I want to know
Yeah.
everything. Start when you were a kid.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, I think probably a lot. I mean, I think
Mhm.
that it probably does cater to people who are like more introverted. And somebody
Mhm.
said something to me once like, "Oh, are you like shy? Is it because you don't like want to show your body?" And I'm like, "No, I don't care. Like I'll show you my body, but
Yeah.
I like the one-on-one."
Definitely. Have you done a lot of phone with Cam on Night Flirt?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that too. Yeah, that to me seems like that's also more it has a different feel than
Mhm.
like being on Chatterbait or
Oh, totally. Yeah, like I don't know. I feel like when I found, like I said before, phone with Cam like changed my life, especially if you are like the type of person like just on like the cam sites waiting to get tipped out so you can come or waiting to like make that big payment. It's like a lot more satisfactory
yeah.
doing it on Night Flirt.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
I had a client say something that I thought was kind of interesting to me too
Mhm.
that I hadn't really thought about. Yesterday I was talking to him and he was saying that one of the reasons that he doesn't like to do privates
Mhm.
on a site like My Free Cam is because he like can watch the screen and it's like ticking off like the number of tokens that are it's taking out of his
Oh,
account, and so it makes the transaction like
mm,
very transaction-y because he's watching like how many tokens he's spending on it. And I think that can take you like, I mean, this is just like a interface thing, but I can
yeah. Mhm.
imagine why that would make it feel less intimate. Whereas
yeah,
like if it's
that makes
just a
Yeah.
sense to
Skype
me.
show and you have the phone on, but the phone's on mute, you're not watching the transaction. You're
Right.
watching
Mhm.
the person that you're interacting
Yeah, because
with.
it's like annoying when that Night Flirt lady comes on and
Yeah.
is
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"You have 1 minute left," but it's
It's so
like
much less stressful than watching it
right
happen.
every single
Yeah.
second, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that there's something about like the way that Night Flirt is set up that feels very like intimate. And besides
Mhm.
that lady showing up and being like, you need to pay more money,
Mhm.
it's just like between the two of you. You know, you're not being like told how much money you're spending or how much you're getting per like second.
Yeah, definitely. I do like that a lot more. I haven't thought that much about this though. I wonder if any of the campsites would do something about that. Like
Yeah.
change that because yeah, that makes sense.
I don't
I'm
think
sorry.
I don't think I would like that as a customer.
Yeah, no, same, very same. And I mean, when it comes to the night flirt lady, I know it's like annoying, but I feel like that's been a good, like, I hate when I'm on Sex Panther and the call just drops, like when they're out of money and it says,
Yeah.
oh, insufficient credits or whatever. But when you hear the lady on night flirt, it's like, oh, wow, we've really been speaking this long. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Oh.
true. Yeah.
This is crazy. I love talking to you. I feel like it's a good point where it's like you can kind of bring the conversation together and be like, oh, wow. Oh my
Yeah.
God, we just keep chatting. Do you want to keep
Right.
chatting?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
that's so true. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely better than it just dropping.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I heard you're like planning a trip.
I am. Me and Little Puck are going to be going to Florida
Nice.
Ooh.
in December, end of November, early December. And we're trying to raise some money for it because we're going to be road tripping all the way from the Midwest.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It'll be great. During Corona times, can't wait. No, it'll be fun. We're visiting some other sex workers in Tennessee, I believe.
Nice.
But yeah.
Are you going to shoot content or what's the trip for?
The vibe is a little bit vacation, but we will be shooting. I believe we're going to be doing flash sales when we're down there. But up until that point, we are going to be doing flash sales maybe every other week where we will shoot a short little video together based on whatever like genres we have for the weekend. And then you could get a video made involving those. Like,
nice.
Last week we did ass worship, tit play, and I think stinky armpit worship. So keep an eye out on my Twitter, Puck's Twitter, our Instagrams. We'll be advertising that as time goes on. And I see us definitely ramping up in the next month or so because it's almost November.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's so weird. It's really weird.
Time's flown. It feels like March 15th.
It was really great to talk to you today. Where can people find you?
Yeah, people can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Felicia Fisher or at Felicia Fisher X. You can also find me on ManyVids, feliciafisher.manyvids.com, or Clips for Sale, clipsforsale.com/130913. Oh, and Night Flirt, obviously. We just talked about it for the last hour and a half. Nightflirt.com/nastygirlfelicia.
Yeah, thanks so much. And it was really fun.
You.
I always think it's fun to talk to phone sex operators, which I don't do very often because there's less of us.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's wild. But it's always great connecting with people that understand the hustle.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you for joining us for yet another episode of the Peep Show podcast. I'm PJ Sage, and you can find me on Twitter at PeachSage.
And I'm Jessie Sage, and you can find me on Twitter at sapiotextual or at jessiesage.com.
We would like to remind you that we have a Patreon account and would appreciate your support. Please visit patreon.com/peepshowpodcast. Our music is courtesy of Joe Kennedy. The show was produced by Jessie and PJ Sage.
Signing off. Have a great week.